of the things Wendy Williams has gone through in this past few years. So we know she was diagnosed with a degenerative cognitive disorder. We also know that she was diagnosed with a disorder that makes her eyes bulge out of her head. She also has this inflammation in her legs and these really big scars that won't go away. All of these things are incurable, by the way. And the most horrific thing to watch is her bouts of panic and crying and madness and confusion in her mind. Now, if you don't remember, Wendy Williams was not nice to people. I just can't help but to connect it to Deuteronomy 28, the curses for the disobedient. Let's read them, shall we? And you tell me if you make the same connections that I do. The Lord will send on you curses of confusion and rebuke everything you put your hand to. The Lord will afflict you with madness, blindness, and confusion of the mind. The Lord will afflict your knees and legs with painful boils that cannot be cured, spreading from the soles of your feet to the top of your head. You will be pledged to be married to a woman or man, but another person will take her or him. Do you see how urgent it is to stop playing around with God? Let's pray that she gets up out of this ditch that she has found herself in and that she is healed because Jesus has come to save her. If this video opens your eyes, I have more content like this. Be sure to...
Hello there and welcome to Cannonball Diva Chronicles. So uplifting the downtrodden is our focus. I'm Cannonball Diva, and there's a story I listened to from a different blogger that discussed the plight that Wendy Williams, the very popular, famous celebrity talk show host, is going through medically right now and has been going through within the last about, I believe, few years. I could say roughly 2 to 3 years. Wendy Williams is known to be a very respected and loved talk show host in America, who has spoken very openly about different issues involving celebrity lifestyles, and the things that she spoke about really, I would say, focused on the rich and the powerful in Hollywood. Her story and her life has really been one to watch because she started from a very young age to be, I believe, a radio host who talked with somebody else in her, I don't know if it was Steve Harvey, but someone like that. They had talked on the show about different issues and, involving the American lifestyle and also celebrity stories as well. But when she left on her own independently to start this talk show that became very, very well loved and listened to and watched by millions and millions of people all over the world, called the Wendy Williams Show, she almost surpassed Oprah in her popularity, because not only was she Black, she was young, she was vibrant, she was very colorful, she was open, and she had this knack of, drinking tea and then smacking her lips together and talking about, food that she loved that just endeared people to her because she seemed to be very real and true. And you know how people love to watch people who they believe tell the truth about what's going on in the world, and also who are real, who are not just fake. That is what endeared her to many people for many years, and she continued to be loved even till this day. But the only difference now is that within the last few years, she has succumbed to a very strange, debilitating disease, which people suspect very much to be the Graves' disease, where you have symptoms like the enlarging eyes, the round moon face, and some other symptoms that she seems to be exhibiting physically. And it's not really well publicized what the present look of Wendy Williams is. But as I watched this YouTube blogger talk about the plight of Wendy Williams within the last few years, I felt pity for her. I felt pity for Wendy Williams because I've been seeing it here and there where they've talked about her present medical situation. And being someone from the medical field, I can empathize with her, signs and symptoms that are quite commonly, that quite commonly reflect what these people that or some people who have experienced such ailments suffer. She's still very young, and I know that recently, within the last few years as well, almost about the same time, or just shortly after she and her husband were estranged, publicly estranged, in the eyes of the world, when she had come out to talk about the fact that he was philandering and he had gotten involved with a much younger female, and they had secretly had a child. And she had openly then talked about how she had made him promise that no matter how much he cheated on her, the last thing that she would ever accept from him was having a child with another woman. She and her husband have a son who right now I believe is in his early 20s, but then he was just 17 when all of this was happening. He has also been a little bit outspoken about what his mother is going through and his stance about what his dad or father has done to his mother. The man who Wendy Williams was married to is considered by many to be an opportunistic, money-loving, grabbing husband who only married Wendy Williams and stayed with her for that length of time because of the money he was getting from her. Even after she had filed for divorce, it was shocking to hear that he had come after her for spousal support, even up to the point of her illness, where she had been forced to quit the talk show because she was exhibiting physical traits of her ailment and she could no longer stand for long periods or, address her audiences in her, on stage like she would normally do. She had to actually stop the show to take care of her health, which is very important. Her husband, I believe, had heard in the news that he had come after her and was still insisting that the monthly stipends, which ran up to hundreds of thousands of dollars, was still deposited in his account from her. The divorce papers at that point had mentioned that, I guess it was written in the divorce papers that in as much as she was still functioning and earning money, she would pay the spousal support. But once she was no longer able to work for any reason, the money she was sending him or paying him would end. And I believe it was at that point that he realized that he had messed up, because he would no longer receive handouts financially from her. Wendy Williams rightfully needs to address her ailment and attend to her physical, mental, and emotional health, because she suffered quite a bit of publicity, which is very embarrassing to hear that your husband is loving another person and spending the money that you've worked so hard for in buying expensive, luxurious vehicles, fur coats, designer bags, shoes, gowns, and just lavishing all the hard-earned money from Wendy Williams' sweat and blood on a younger black female. And they had not even made much of an attempt to hide this relationship, because it was quite well known around their neighborhood and the community in which they lived that her husband was a cheating, philandering person. Back to the lady who had talked about Wendy Williams' ailment. The main reason I'm talking about it today is the spiritual component that comes with this condition. Immediately I had heard about Wendy Williams' disease and condition about 2 years ago. I had taken the time to do my own little research, because I've watched her for many years, but at some point I decided to just back away from watching her show. I'm not really a big TV watcher to start with. I prefer true life stories and documentaries, if you ask me, that speak about the true plight of humanity and what people are going through on a daily basis. Those are the things that I enjoy, watching, because for number one, I can learn from those things and I can see how it impacts their people's lives and how other people help and how people can come out of such situations to live a better life. And those are the kind of things that I prefer to watch and learn from. I like learning on a daily basis. And this story about Wendy Williams is something else that I learned a big, I would say a big lesson from, in a way, in a sense that when she would talk about people and invite people to her stage, and she would ask questions that, many of us wanted to know about some of the celebrities and the way they live their lives, like Kanye West, Taylor Swift, Beyonce knows, some of these celebrities. Sometimes we're curious to know more about them, the things that make them tick, and maybe personal stories here and there that we could learn from, to say, oh, they're human after all, like us. I used to like to watch her talk show just to see who she would invite to her talk show and what she would ask them. Because like I said, she was a very real talk show host that, was able to be herself. She was a quirky, funny, loving, happy, playful person that would sometimes throw little darts at, with her little slingbacks, very, what I would say, elastic band. I mean, she did stuff like that made her seem lovable and childlike. That innocent, childlike, attitude that she had was one of the things that endeared me to her. So I would watch her. And I started to realize at some point that she would talk about people while they were there and ask them very, very striking stories that some of them found to be offensive. And people have gone as far as, I believe it was Madonna at some point, where she had said something and she had received such a backlash from her. And some people even go as far as threatening her to say, back off, stop talking about me, stop asking me questions, never make me feel that way again. I felt attacked. And even before this ailment began, all of this started, I used to ask myself, because I'm a strong believer in the ideology that what goes around comes around, and that in the real world, people call it karma. Whatever you do, you get back. Whatever you do to someone else, expect a backlash. Even if you don't believe in God, you know that you can't hurt somebody and go scot-free. And I really believe that, and that is why I'm very careful not to hurt anyone. I try my best not to do anything that will make someone feel that they're being they're being attacked by me in any way, be it physical, verbally, or anyhow. I try my best to address any issues that I find that might be, in between my relationships with people, to, clear it up if I can. If I think it's something deeper that I can't resolve, then I back away from that person. For example, if there's something that you always find that someone is doing and that you can't understand it, and after trying a few times to see if you can resolve that situation amicably, the best thing in the end is to just back away, because you don't know what's going on, and maybe there's something deeper that you don't know, and it's safer to stay away. But someone like Wendy Williams, I mean, when people would say this to her, she didn't seem like she was remorseful at all. She didn't seem like it mattered. She would come and, just say it out in the open, like, this person is saying this thing, and she would laugh about it and giggle like a child. Like, again, she would, just look like she didn't really care too much about what the person said. But I worried for her, and I worried about her, because not everybody you see in this world is human. Not everyone you see in this world has a human heart. Even it is written in the Word of God that, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. Some people are walking and talking principalities. They just have a face like you and I. They just seem to be like they're human. A lot of people are working for Satan himself. And these people have the ability to send all kinds of they send all kinds of darts against their victims. And the victims are not even aware of it. That's the sad part. A lot of these things are things that are in the spiritual context. And Wendy Williams didn't really seem to me to be a spiritual person. And when she would do these things, I would wonder, what would happen. Because at some point, people are not just going to keep telling you to stop. This person is telling you, I don't like the way you're talking about me, you're lying, you embarrass me publicly. I mean, what is the motive? I always wonder. I always ask when somebody comes out to, act as if they're enjoying certain things that is hurting somebody, or has the potential to hurt somebody. Is this the truth? I mean, speak your truth if it's the truth, but it shouldn't be geared at hurting somebody else. It should be geared at delivering someone, yourself or someone else, from the power of that lie or that action that was done against you. Just like what I'm doing. I speak my truth because I know it's helping somebody else. It's taking the power away from what happened and what my experiences were. And it's using that story to actually help somebody else that's probably going through it, and to see the verses in the Bible that I read, to see how I took steps to, help myself and not just, crawl under a rock and just pretend that nothing was happening. So that is why I'm going to post this video now of this lady talking about Wendy Williams and her medical condition and what she thinks the Bible says about it. Please share your thoughts and let me know if you also believe that what this lady is saying is true. Because I always suspected it myself, even though I never talked about it. I always thought that sooner or later, if she doesn't pray or she doesn't go to God and ask for forgiveness or go to these people and ask for forgiveness, if she keeps saying things and doing things like this to hurt other people and she's doing it to gain publicity or to gain attention or to make more money, the motives are wrong. What is your motive at the end of the day for what you do? And this question goes out to everybody. Why do you do what you do? Are you doing it actually to harm another person or to make money? Money, we know that money is considered to be an idol by many people. They love money. They would do anything for money. And my next video is going to be about a wealthy man that ended up losing his life at the age of 34. He was so wealthy. At the end of the day, his money couldn't save him. His money while he was alive did much for him. And but today we're talking about Wendy Williams, and I want you to watch this video of this lady speaking about her and let me know your thoughts. I'm going to try and make it short. Her video wasn't that long. Thank you so much for tuning to Cannonball Diva Chronicles today. Keep being good and loving to your fellow man. Take care and God's blessings. Bye.